Okay, Panthers-Chiefs was a fantastic game, came down to the final minute. Let's pick up right there with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. So it's a first down and 20 right here, and as you see, the Chiefs are going to be in zone coverage. This is actually interesting because they were playing man coverage a little bit earlier on, but gave up a couple of decent plays to give up a first down pretty easily. So now they're switching over to zone. Part of that might also be because there was actually a hands to the face penalty Carolina committed, which made it 1st and 20 instead of 1st and 10. But yeah, I find this very interesting where, so it's zone coverage and you're going to have, there's several ways you can beat zone coverage. One thing you can do is try to just throw it further deep and get into a gap in coverage. But especially in this situation, there probably will be something open underneath, but usually that's not something you'd want to take. Watch, that's what Bridgewater's going to do. We're just going to flip it to his halfback Davis, and Davis is going to make a pretty good move to gain some yards, but that's not really worth it in this situation because you have no timeouts left. That would be a good move in a regular play, but in this situation, probably not the right move, and that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 11. So it's going to be zone coverage once again, and this time Kansas City is going to even more so give up room underneath. They're okay with giving up some yards if it means that they get a tackle inbounds and the clock continues to run. Like watch, once this play starts, Bridgewater absolutely has multiple checkdowns here, and it looks like this isn't what he wants to do. It looks like he does not want to hit a check down. He's looking down the field, but Kansas City is playing good coverage down the field, so he kind of has no choice but to either take a check down or throw it away. And that is kind of a difficult decision. Like, do you make it a 3rd down and 11, or do you make it a 3rd down and much more manageable, but you're killing 10 seconds? He is going to take this check down, and Carolina, they gain a little bit, and it is a 3rd and manageable, but as I mentioned, now the clock is going to continue to run, so they have to hurry up to try to get their next play off. This is going to be the next play. It appears as though it's a quarters blitz is what it appears to be. I know it's zone coverage, and I know there's going to be a blitz here, and for Carolina, this is actually a pretty good situation, because what they're doing is they're going to have 3 receivers on the bottom of the screen, kind of all run deep, but one of them is going to run a curl route and he's going to stop at a certain point, whereas the other 2 just continue to run deep. And once this ball is snapped, you're going to see Bridgewater, he spots a guy, and look at how open he gets a player, and this is just because of really a good concept right here where it was quarters coverage, and in this situation when you're spreading guys out and essentially forcing Kansas City into one-on-one matchups, what you absolutely can't do if you're Kansas City is get beat deep. And as you see, Matthew he's probably still too far deep, but he's making sure he doesn't get beat deep, and he's kind of trusting the players in front of him to maybe make a play. But again, because of the blitz, there were less players, and this is just kind of a good situation for Carolina. Now, again, Kansas City knew this was a possibility. This isn't a surprise for Kansas City. They were just sort of doing this coverage because worst case scenario, you're going to get the ball to midfield, but you won't be in field goal range. And again, another 10 seconds or so is going to come off the clock. The clock would go down to 9 seconds. They spiked it, so now it's 2nd down and 10. And this is the coverage for Kansas City. This isn't the full coverage. There also are 2 safeties deep, but this is everything else. And as you see, they're taking away the sideline really anywhere from 1 yard to 15 yards down the field. And the reason why they're doing this is simply because, Carolina has 8 seconds to make a play. They can't spike the ball at this point. Even if the play only takes 4 seconds, that's not enough time to spike it. So you have to go to the end zone. And so, Carolina, they have an idea of how to beat this coverage. You're going to have a receiver basically just run deep, try to basically pull the Kansas City defensive back with him further deep, and then you're going to send McCaffrey underneath. He picks up some, makes the catch, runs, picks up 5 to 7 yards, and with their kicker, they honestly feel confident with that. Their goal right now is to try to get to about the 40-yard line. That would be ideal. That would make it a 57-yard field goal, and they honestly feel comfortable with that. They really do. But watch the defensive back closest to the bottom of the screen. That's Armani Watts, and watch what he's going to do. First, he creates some contact right when this ball is snapped. So that's a good job of slowing down that receiver, but now he keeps his head and he looks back closer towards the quarterback and sees that the quarterback has thrown the ball to McCaffrey underneath. So now he's in position to make a play on McCaffrey, where had he turned his head back and continued to run, that could easily have worked out great for Carolina, and they could have gotten the 5 to 7 yards that they want. Watts breaks in, and honestly, he was super close to ending the game right there. McCaffrey made an incredible play just to get out of bounds and keep things alive for Carolina. The good news for Carolina is that only took 4 seconds off the clock, so they now have one more opportunity to really do what they want. I mean, there's 5 seconds left, so some teams I think would just throw the ball deep and run the Hail Mary now, whereas some teams would try to gain some yards. What you see on the screen is that this is a similar coverage, but they just have one less guy covering the sidelines. So now, instead of only having the one safety just straight up deep, but with another player who is close to being deep, now they have 3 players who are just going to straight up be in the back of the end zone, basically awaiting a potential throw in that direction. So that's what Kansas City is doing here. And for Carolina, they're going to elect to try to just gain some yards and get the field goal here. Personally, I don't think I like this move. I think I would have gone for the Hail Mary here. Now, I think most people would argue, well, why not just try and do this? And if it doesn't work out, well, you can go for the Hail Mary next play. But I kind of like the idea of Kansas City not being as prepared for something further down the field and trying to take advantage of that right here. But either way, I'm not going to kill Carolina for this decision. I mean, it's a tough decision either way, and they're going with the idea that they think would work out best, and they're trusting their kicker more than Teddy Bridgewater's arm, and you know, there's logic either way. Either way, it's low percentage, but I think you could argue for going for the Hail Mary here. That's not what they're going to do. And as you see, once this play starts, I mean, there is a window right here, and it's all going to, once again, come down to Watts. I mean, if this is caught, this is probably going to be about a 60-yard field goal, which is hard to make, but not impossible. Again, they have a good kicker. However, Watts leaps up, knocks the ball away. Just an incredible play. And that really was a huge play in this game. I mean, they would have gotten another 7 yards or so, and that would have been key. I mean, who knows what happens if they get those yards. Now, the kick for 67 yards ended up kind of missing by a mile, but at the same time, there's probably a different mindset if you are 7 yards closer and you don't have to just completely try to use all your effort just to get it that far, let alone aim it. So I think it might have been different if there was, if it was 60 yards instead of 67, but either way, great game for Kansas City. Honestly, great game for Carolina as well. I know it kind of has become the story for Carolina that they look good in a loss that just comes down to the wire and they fall short. But you know what? I mean, listen, you took the defending champs who only have 1 loss this season to the final second. You nearly had it. It was a very close game. I think that is it is a small win. Obviously, you would have loved the actual win. But you know what? If it's not this year, then at least you're looking good for next year. Let me know what you thought of this ending of the game. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.